Hello and welcome to the second part of our Global Glow series, the Goalpost 17 Changemakers World. And we just ran through the first goal, no poverty. In the first goal, I just did a small introduction of how poverty is a man-made issue like apartheid or slavery. We spoke about the bylanes of South Africa and the great words of Nelson Mandela that poverty is not an accident. Poverty indeed is an experience. We took you around with certain areas like how a Tetra milk pack can determine your richness or state of mind or what you think. Let's take to a deeper level. One of the most common issues we always hear about is empathy. In empathy, you always heard about this definition that you put yourself in somebody's shoes, right? How about changing or challenging the definition and saying the real empathy starts with removing your shoe first and then sliding yourself in somebody else's shoes? In the poverty simulation experiment that I did with my students, I indeed made them. Of course, it's a game where you ask the students to actually exchange shoes and walk a mile or at least few steps in somebody's shoes. Across genders, ages, across different shoe sizes, you realize how difficult it is. And then you understand what is to be privileged and what it is to be poor. Indeed, the opposite of poor is not rich, rather, it is privilege. A little thought experiment here that I'm sure most of you can look at the shoe and you can say which shoe belongs to which one. Well, most of them are brown, so let me start with the blue Nike sports shoe. How many pair of shoes do you have? The long boots, of course, go for the horse riding, and the top one are the ones for hiking and perhaps the lower level for business. The world of shoes have changed. Yes, you can use your sports shoe for all occasions for today, but that's the way the world is. But just imagine if you actually had just one pair of shoe for every single activity in your work. How would that be? Understand that at least if I sit now, you may count five pair of shoes that you've got. I'm sure you've got five pair of shoes. And what do you do with those pair of shoes? How many you've worn in the last couple of months? Don't give pandemic again an excuse even before that. How about gifting away a pair of shoes? And wouldn't life be a wonderful opportunity? Have you heard of Toms? Toms is the word derived from the word tomorrow, is a beautiful experience of how a shoe company can make a difference in the world around us. Very much like Zappos by Tony Hush, late Tony Hush, which was acquired by Amazon, Toms is a company by a young man by the name of Blake Miscovy. Blake visited Argentina early in 2002, and I'm talking about almost 2 decades from what I'm speaking right now. And what he saw was absolutely amazing. He said, I put on Alpargata. Alpargata is a canvas-like slip-on shoe, very popular in Argentina. And he said, it felt like a second skin to me. The comfort, the ease, the joy of it. And Blake at that moment decided that he wants to actually make a company which will be from that very shoe that he found. The word was from tomorrow, a company that came in called Tom's. That's Blake for you. And Blake really went around doing something amazing. He said, for every shoe that I'll make, I will donate one pair to the less privileged people. By 2012, which is after 10 years, 1 decade of his existence of Tom's, he actually have given away 2 million pair of shoes to children and the needy across the world. Started from Argentina, went to Uruguay, Chile, Peru, then to the African region. And really, it took very byword for Tom. The tagline for Tom's shoes is one for one. How would you look at the shoe after you hear what Tom says? Tom actually have a concept called one day without shoe event, where everybody's encouraged to stay a day, not just staying at home, when you go out without wearing any footwear for that matter. Blake says he was impressed by the words of legendary Bill Gates, who encouraged him, saying that the lack of shoe was one of the major contributors to diseases in children. When you are barefoot and you're walking, it could be something that erodes, something that hurts you, some kind of parasite, some kind of leech, some kind of scorpion bite. A shoe is, the water, dirty water that sticks in. And really, he made a huge difference. What are you doing with it? Trust me, a pair of shoes can change somebody's life. Who said that? Well, I'm sure you must have heard about this lady called Cinderella. Her life changed by one pair of shoe. How about gifting away one pair of shoes that you've got and changing somebody's life? So when I think I've taken you to a paranormic view of what poverty is all about, how would you associate poor with what kind of words that you have? Remember, we had a word anagram. These are some of the words in poor vocabulary. They live in a state of extreme fear. They are always feeling abandoned, and they are abandoned. There is a loss, a hardship inflicted upon them, and there is indeed living in a world of inequality. That's what poverty is all about. That is what we are trying to eradicate. Okay, for all the English buffs out there, how about giving a little challenge to you? Pause this video if you're watching it asynchronously and write down at least 5 words that begin with the word S and have to do something with the poor, that's something to do with poverty. Of course, you can pause it, but here you are. What words can you think of? Stress, stigma, struggle. Some of the words we discussed about, indeed, these are the words. The poor are the ones who are stigmatized. They are constantly depressed, and trust me, mental health is a big issue among the poor today. They are in sorrowful state. They are very unhappy, but yet they smile through the sorrow. They are scared. Your house could be, just a bulldozer come and ram through your house. You don't know where your next meal will come from. There is a life full of struggle. That is what no poverty is all about. Let's remove these words and fill it with richer, better vocabulary where the poor can be really happy. Do you know the statistics which I give very little of in my session? Less than $2 a day, which is something you afford every is a half, one third of the world's population. 2 billion people live with that money. $2? Oh, you can get into a McDonald's and $2 is less for you. Less than $8 a day. If I just increase it by fourfold, that's almost half the world population. If I assume we are 7 billion, 3.5 billion people less live in extreme poverty or poverty. $2 is extreme poverty and $8 is real poverty, and that's the world we're living in. We are talking about Bangladesh, we are talking about areas in Afghanistan, we are talking about immigrants in Syria, we are talking about Latin America, we're talking about Indian subcontinent, we are talking around the world, including Europe, where people, migrants are living in such harsh conditions. What are you trying to do? Please understand, no poverty. Indeed, here I say with knowledge, KNOW, do you understand what poverty is about? I'll tell you a story, a very interesting story. The story is titled The Blue Sweater. What do you mean? There's a lady called Jacqueline Novogratz, and Jacqueline says, she had, as a child, she had a sweater which she loved so much, a blue sweater that she truly, truly wanted to wear, until she outgrew it, and you throw away your old clothes. So she discarded to an NGO, a non-government, a charity organization. And it was years later, as a part of some other charity organization, she visited a country in Africa, the Rwanda. And in Rwanda, out of nowhere, as she was walking through the slums of Rwanda, she sees a young boy proudly wearing a sweater which was eerily similar to the one she had given away as a child. She runs to the boy, looks at the label, and I don't know how irritating that was for you, but as a child, my mother used to write my names on my vest and my clothes, and I hated that. When she had something similar, she looked at it, the label indicated her name, JN. And she realized something that she discarded, something she did not even realize it, was worn with a lot of pride all the way from United States to a country in the African region, Rwanda. So do you realize, when you throw away something, remember the shoes I spoke about, or an extra gadget, a mobile phone that's lying, a laptop you're not using, any equipment, a pair of clothes, good, decent one, utensils, please give it away. You do not have any idea whose hand will it fall in and how much will they appreciate about it. In France, they've done an object poverty exhibition. It's a street exhibition where they took up ordinary objects and they realized the difference it makes in the life of the rich or the poor. Rather the lack of it in the poverty, it's the object poverty. Look at the pictures in the object poverty: an empty basket, a bread, a button, a glass of water, a syringe, a hot water bag, a purse, a key, a toothbrush, a plate, some dollar sign, a cigarette, the bedroll, the shoes, the soap that we're looking at. And what are we seeing is each of them represent some kind of poverty, deprivation, some kind of remote area where it's a void, a lacune in a child, in a poor's life. Give me an example through one of them. An empty basket is an idea that stress, remember the word we said, the stress that they cannot buy thing in bulk. In the pandemic, there was a rush, a mad rush to hoard products. And what about the poor? Every day they struggle to keep their daily life. Or the bread, object poverty number 15, where you don't have a bread to live by. Basic bread, basic food, a bare minimum stuff, or a button that I think every family at some occasions, be it a festival or a huge occasion, they buy new clothes for themselves. You have a choice. When I say red, you have plum, crimson, you have a choice of red, and you don't know which one to wear. Unfortunately, the button represents that the choice doesn't exist with the poor. They don't have the same choice. A toothbrush, when I ask you to brush your teeth twice a day, I don't worry about will you be able to afford toothpaste. For a poor, it is a choice they have to make, that they cannot afford the basic toothpaste. So the young activists, and I expect you to do that in your schools, in your institutions, among you, they came up and the chart was given to them about these 15 to 16 object poverty, and they have to speak on one of them and make a difference in somebody's life. That's exactly what no poverty is all about. That you do not have this problem of a choice. Should I go to school or buy new shoes? The poor have a choice. They have to make a forced choice that either they can pair a new pair of shoes is what they buy, or they go to school. Let's walk people out of poverty. Let's make poverty absolutely, let's make poverty extinct is the goal that we are doing. What I shared with you are practical poverty simulation exercises that you can do. The idea is to make you more empathetic, make you more aware, make you more conscious about this issue that is lurking around. In the last episode, I bring you a newsmaker, someone who's made a real impact in the world of poverty. His name is Muhammad Yunus, all the way from Bangladesh, and the world knows him as banker to the poor. Who is Muhammad Yunus? Well, Muhammad Yunus started a concept called microfinance. Microfinance is a concept that he said started giving small loans to the poor. A loan as small as $2 to $10. I mean, nobody gives you a $10 official loan. That's what Muhammad Yunus did. His first loan was to 42 women in his own village when he moved from United States to Bangladesh with only 27 US dollars from his own pocket. So you realize it's actually less than $2 per person. He gave so much less, but the poor were so empowered that today Muhammad Yunus is actually running one of the world's largest microcredit bank in the world. Who influenced Muhammad Yunus? He said he was influenced by his own mother, who was never known to turn away anyone in need. What an amazing soul she must be. Today, Muhammad Yunus Grameen Bank has given credit to over 7 million of the world's most poor in Bangladesh. And yes, for his effort, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace and Economics in 2006. That's what Muhammad Yunus has done. What are you going to do after you hear the no poverty idea? What are you, at least read about this hero? Go ahead, do something small in your community, because everything we speak about has a global, national, and a local impact. At least you start working locally. Muhammad Yunus has this amazing book, A World He Dreams of Three Zeros: zero poverty, zero unemployment, and zero net carbon emission. We'll speak about each of them. Then unemployment will come in goal number 8, decent work or an economic growth, and net carbon in climate action, goal number 13. Until then, let's work together and join hands to end poverty. I'm your host, Dawood Waid. I'll be open to your question, answers, suggestion, input. Hopefully you understand this session and take it forward among your three peers and your students. Good luck. Goodbye.